touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. 'Cause all I can taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your light. And sooner or later it's over, but I don't wanna miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And you can't fight the tears, it ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your lives. When everything feels like the movies, yeah, you plead just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. 'Cause when everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. 'Cause when everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
And I don't want the world to see me because I don't think that they'll understand. And what if they don't know who we are? This is the poetry of fear. Welcome to Collective. We're so glad you're with us. I'm Ben. I'll be the host for the service tonight. You're here or there in downtown DeLand, Florida tonight. I'm with those who are joining us online from anywhere in the world at wearecollectivechurch.com, where you can subscribe and stay connected. Some of us have gathered together there in person and online hundreds of times or something like it. And some of you, not only is this your first time with us, maybe it's your first time in anything even approaching religious or like a church. So thanks for trusting us. Your perspectives make us fresh and they keep us alive. So I shared last week, we've been struggling through COVID stuff to make a memorial for my grandmother work, and we did get that done yesterday through some difficult family navigating, as so many of you guys have done. We are good. The family is ruffled but intact and well. Some of you held me in the light this week, and you told me that you did. And it mattered to me. So thank you so much for the support. I'm stronger with you all, and even though I'm here on the screen and I'm there with you guys online virtually, I'm stronger with you, and I'm glad to be with you, gathered with you tonight. So let's begin by bearing witness to the courage it takes simply to gather. We want to honor that courage with belonging. So whether you've been here a long, long time or whether this is your first time, you belong. Everyone around you and those with us online, you add value, and everyone is equal. Your presence makes us who we are. Welcome. We are here not to be religiously entertained. I know that's weird to say while you're watching me on a screen, those of you in person, but instead to do the good work. We're here to do spiritual formation, which is to make a good life as good people. Thanks to Kenny, Freddie, Dan, Brandon, Mary, the musicians, the crew, everybody for helping host and make tonight work. How about a quick hand for them? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We all are Collective Church. Fred, would you remind us real quick what that means? Thanks, Fred.
We value highly the metaphor of journey. We're different people from different places and backgrounds representing an intergenerational community, and we've traveled different paths. So we agree not to make assumptions about the person across from us, next to us, or in conversation with us. We challenge ourselves to be sensitive, knowing this community includes a diverse group of people from lifelong followers of Jesus to people who are just now open to the idea that God might exist. We strive to avoid offense, ask good questions, articulate and explain our responses. We don't assume fluency in Bible, spirituality, or church language because we believe the message of Jesus is not for Christianity, but for humanity. So we do everything in the spirit of love and grace. Different paths with beautiful people with messy pasts, so have no fear, no judgment here. Whether you believe in Jesus or don't believe in anything, something you can teach us. You belong, no right, no wrong. Solidarity helps us to find some peace in the great unknown. You don't have to be alone. Leading into grace. Help us make a place with an open table where no one's turned away. We'll love without why. No one has to hide. Finding God in people, sharing hearts as equals, where you are held in light. Good news is on your side. Oh,
All right, we have said it, we've sung it. Thanks so much, Fred. That was amazing. Appreciate it again. And we're going to continue to practice. But first, a shout out to the online community. Kenny, who's with us online?
Jay's on, and he says he wishes he could be here. But we also have more eyes on the chat than actually voices in the chat. So if you are watching online, chat along with me if you want to.
All right, now who's with us in the room? You all. It's hard to build a movement if you don't know who's in it. So we're going to actually talk to each other. If you're willing to share with someone next to you, real quick answers. We'll take about 3 minutes just to talk. Kenny's going to be online. And you're going to go over this question. It'll come up on the screen in just a second. Is there anything you notice about the relationship between art and fear? Dan's going to talk to us tonight about the poetry of fear. How might art address fears that other mediums maybe can't address? 3 minutes on the clock. House rules apply. No me monsters. Everybody gets a chance to share. So talk with one another and go. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully there was really good conversation. I know I've been having some, and vulnerable knowing happening at the tables as we connected. We've said it, we've sung it, we've connected in the room and online. So if you want to take the next step and practice with us this week, here's how. And I hope you will. There's a lot of stuff coming up. Kenny, tell us how to practice.
Everything starts with the email. You can subscribe and select the rundown as well as your preferences by visiting the website. When you go to wearecollectedchurch.com, that particular thing is right at the bottom, so you can fill in your email address and your first name, and we'll get back to you to fill in more information. Then the weekly rundown becomes your custom dashboard for practicing together. One of our core practices is showing up, giving, and serving. So serving is a practice. We've been asking you to tell us how you're willing to serve us, and you did. So like the needs and leads. Yeah, teams and needs. We've been asking you to tell us how you're willing to serve, and you did. And as Ben said, this week was different than expected. So we don't really have the full results of the survey. However, as a progress update, coffee filters have been ordered. Hopefully baristas will be back soon, but we've had some additional complications with the coffee maker, so that will have to be handled. Volunteer surveys are in though. People are helping and keeping commitments, and we want to thank you guys and hope that you stay tuned for someone to connect this week about how we can schedule you to be of service. We have a ton of things coming up for the holiday season. This coming week, we have Death Cafe on Wednesday. We're holding a Buddhist meeting down here also, so Death Cafe will meet upstairs. And then the following night, on the 9th, we will be doing community candles and carols here at the Drika. That will be a lot of fun. And then next week, Ben will be hosting Pints and Parables. We also have Collective Cares coming up. I think
we're meeting for the candlelight service, and then afterwards we're going to go downtown and look at the Christmas windows.
Yeah.
So if you want to join us, you're more than welcome. It's not just exclusively for the LGBTQ community, and I think that's a fun thing to see what people have in their windows this time of year.
And then the week after that, you guys will be wrapping presents and providing tips.
Right. So if you're interested in wrapping presents, come at that time, and I can teach you a few of my tricks, and you can learn about wrapping gifts. Great ways to wrap gifts and shortcut it.
And finally, we've got Christmas Eve, which will be here at 5 o'clock. If you need any more information about any of these events, the stuff's on Facebook and, of course, in the rundown. So sign up for the email or check out our Facebook page if you need any additional information or if you want to RSVP. I believe it's at 6, but I can get back to you after the service and update you if I'm wrong. So remember, the point is the practice. Showing up, giving, and serving are core ways that we practice together. From everything in the rundown to giving financially, it's your time and your life, so make your plan to practice. Like with the email, planning is the practice. Of course, if you need any help, I'm more than happy to help right after the service. So now, let's slow down and shift from words and brains, planning to breath and silence, being. Both are essential to our practice. So Bill, would you help us lead in silence?
Sure. Just a quick story about this meditation. I never told this. I was working in a psychiatric hospital in South Florida, and they allowed me to do Christian groups, and this is a first teen group. So I did this meditation, be still and know that I am God. And this teenager gets up and walks out. So I saw him later, I said, I'm concerned, why'd you get up and walk out? He says, well, you were making yourself out to be God. And I said, well, maybe you should facilitate the next group. If he had the courage of his convictions that way. He didn't know it was a verse from the Psalms. So just get comfortable if you're not already comfortable. And just be aware of your breathing. And repeat after me if you will. If not, you can just be silent. Be still and know that I am God.
Be still and know that I am God.
Be still and know that I am.
Be still and know that I am.
Be still and know.
Be still and know.
Be still. Be. come out of a time of silence, do it gently. Ask God to feather God's peace into the rest of your day, like a painter feathers one color into another with his or her brush. Gently open your eyes.
All right. Now, I want to say thanks again to Dan Hensley. Hopefully we're going to let him make his way up here, and I'm going to ask him to grab the lighter and to go ahead and light that candle there on the table in front of the couch. And for you all, now may the words of our mouths and the meditation of all of our hearts grant us not only the light of wisdom to understand these words, but the fire of conviction to put them into practice. Amen. Dan, again, thanks so much for your gifts, for your energy, for your guidance and leadership in the congregation, in my life over so many years, for guiding our conversation and sharing your inspiration with us tonight. We give you thanks. I know Kenny shared that we didn't do the big reveal for all the volunteer stuff, but I did want to say, Dan, we heard you. You're going to be singing backup with the house band at some point in the near future. We're excited about that. And also, Sharon, we heard you're playing some flute coming up for us. So we're excited about the way you guys are going to be sharing your passions and your gifts and your lives with us. Join me, folks. Thanks, Dan, for coming to share. Everybody give Dan a big hand. Take it away.
Ben has asked me to speak on fear tonight, but before I start, I'd like to say how wonderful it was to join the Volusia Community Orchestra last night and the night before. They were wonderful, so professional. It just warmed my heart, and of course I got to play Santa, so there you go. And I got to conduct. That was my favorite part, for sure. But tonight I'm going to be speaking on fear, and Ben asked me to read one of my poems. I have some really dark ones, but this one's not too bad. So I hope I'll be asking you what it's about in a few minutes. There will be a quiz. Nightlight. I burnt my pillow to chase the dreams away. They returned a charred and smoky doomsday. I filled their mouths with tarry lies until they choked. They spat out a blackened wind and still they spoke. I bound them in a weighted box, but they easily broke successive locks. I threw them in the ocean and ran from all emotion. They drank until the sea was dry and stared me down with salty eyes. I chased them into space and returned to earth with haste. They burnt through the atmosphere to fill my belly full of tears. I put them on a lacy chain, and here they noisily remain. I treat them as an unruly pet and feed them things I can't digest. Welcome or unwelcome, high water or hell come. They make me stronger still from the exercise of will. They will not be outdone. Does anybody have any idea what that's about? I will tell you in my 20s. Do you know, Bill? Yeah, that's exactly it. In my 20s, I had anxiety attacks. How many people have had panic attacks here? So you know what I'm talking about. If you've not had panic attacks, there's a perfect description in the Bible. So if you think it's a modern occurrence, it really isn't. It's been going on for a long time. And if you're a person, you will likely have a panic attack at some time in your life. Psalms 55, 4 through 8 describes what a panic attack feels like. My heart is in anguish within me. The terrors of death have fallen on me. Fear and trembling have beset me. Horror has overwhelmed me. I said, "Oh, that I had the wings of a dove. I would fly away and be at rest. I would flee far away and stay in the desert. The thing I think that really gets me, if people are wondering about that second part of that verse, is that your reaction when you panic is to fly away. You want to get away. But when it's in your head, what choice do you have? There's no place to go. You just have to deal with it, and it's not easy. Panic is horrible, and so is grief, and so are the many other kinds of pain. So I thought we'd take I think one of the important things to coping with our fears is to, first, you can't conquer fear if you don't know what you fear. So I thought maybe what we would do is take a couple of minutes and people can call out what they fear. And it doesn't have to be too personal. It can be anything that you think of. I personally have a fear of failure. I don't know what other people have fear of. Can anyone tell me what they fear? Katie?
Being alone for the rest of my life.
Being alone. Loneliness. Loss. Rejection, that's a big one. Disapproval. Lisa?
Having to do everything on my own.
I get it. Big dental procedures. She and I have shared that recently. I made a list. What I said was death, poverty, homelessness, illness, pain, insanity, violence, often rooted if you've had past trauma, loneliness, feeling incomplete in oneself, being wrong, which is part of vanity. Often it leads to not asking for help when help is available to you. Starvation, hunger, loss of family and loved ones. Many of us have gone through that. And the other one, which is the unknown, which is often fear of change. Are there lessons to be learned in the Bible about coping with our fears and what we have? I think there's many great figures, and at first I thought all the figures were in the Old Testament because there's a lot of courageous stories in the Old Testament, but there are a few in the New Testament too. But I thought I'd start with just naming a few. Moses, he had the courage to face the past. That's a tough one. When you look at things you've done wrong or incorrectly, or face up to your inheritance, if you're an immigrant, whatever the reason is, owning your past. David had the courage to face impossible situations. And we all know about David and Goliath. But my favorite story about David is when Saul was suffering from paranoia. And he would attack Jonathan, and he would attack David, and he could call for the death of anyone. And David felt compelled to play his harp and to speak to him on a regular basis to try and help him cope with his paranoia, knowing that Saul could have him ordered to death at any moment. Esther, for the courage to take a big risk. And if you're wondering, people always see her as being so definite. And when I read in the Bible, I was reading about Esther, her people were, she was called as one of the virgins to Xerxes, the king, and he would select who might be his next queen. And it was difficult for her because she was a Jew, which was not accepted. And Mordecai, which was one of his officials, had determined that he was going to rid the country of all Jews. And she could have kept her mouth shut when he started persecuting the Jews, but she decided to go to the king and ask him to come to her for a feast. And the reason why I know she had hesitation is because she invited him and she invited Mordecai. She invited them twice, because the first day she didn't offer her petition to help her people because she was afraid of being rejected and afraid she could be ordered to death. And the death at the time that was common was to be impaled on a stake. So not a pleasant death, but she still had the courage to ask for her people. My namesake, Daniel. We know about Daniel in the lion's den, but he also refused to change his diet habits because it was against Jewish law. And he was being trained to be one of the warriors in service to the king. And he refused to change his diet. And they said, well, what will happen is you'll get weaker and weaker and everybody else will get stronger and stronger. And he refused, and of course, he remained as strong as everyone else. So to me, that was the courage of Daniel, to stick to your beliefs. And then there was Ruth, which I think is a real important lesson, because she was an immigrant. She was, first off, a widow. She went with her mother-in-law to this new land, and she agreed to worship the way her mother-in-law worshiped. And she had the courage to try and support her own mother-in-law as an immigrant. She wasn't even originally from Israel. So here we get to the New Testament. Paul, and I think because Paul had the courage to speak his truth. And I know he was in fear because it says, we were under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure, so that we despaired of life itself. Indeed, we felt we had received the sentence of death. But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God. But I think we need to look to the God that's within ourselves. There are so many difficulties that we face. And if you don't call up the God Spirit within yourself, you're not going to be able to face the grief, the pain, and the problems that you have in your life. Peter had the courage to change his life path, and I think this is something that we very rarely see. When he met Jesus, Jesus said, "Come, follow me, and I will send you out to fish for people." At once they left their nets and followed him. Could you imagine changing your whole life in a second? In a second. That took real courage. And I'm sure he was frightened. What else could he be? Because he didn't know what was going to happen. So how does this help us to overcome our own fears? And I think especially when we think about loss, when we think about pain, when we think about suffering, the problem is we're so focused on that we don't come out of ourselves and think about what's the possibility. What is the good thing that can come out of what has happened? And whatever our pain or suffering. Philippians is one of my favorites. It's Philippians 4:4-8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Now, when you're in the middle of a panic attack, those things are difficult to grab hold of. I've been there, I know. But if you're in the middle of a panic attack, stop if you can. Breathe, and think about the last good experience you have. Think about what you have available to you. Think about what is good in your life. And when you do that, sometimes it will bring you out. Not always, because I'm not a miracle worker and I don't have all the answers. But you probably have more of the answer to what will help you through a panic attack than somebody else, because you know the good things. If you've lost a person in your life, maybe think about the good times you've had and how lucky you were to have that person there for that period of time, and how happy they would be to know that you hold their memory in this life now, and that you share those memories with others. Those are so important. I was especially thinking of it with thinking about Ben at his grandmother's memorial. I'm sure he has some great stories about his grandmother, and I'm sure she would love to know that he's sharing those stories with the rest of us. Remember those. When you face fear about what you don't have, focus on what you do have. I've got to tell you, I'm not immune to fear, and I fear all the time, every day. I have a fear come up, but I do try to use what tools I have to try and help me cope. Philippians 3:13 says, "But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead." Because the future can be scary, but it also can be a promise that you make to yourself. So when you do have fear and you're worried about your future, make a promise to yourself that you'll do the best to face it courageously, because the future is ours if we take it, but we have to take it. I have one more poem, which is less depressing than the last one. I do have a few that aren't depressing. This is called The Master of Mysteries. I take comfort in the chaos of new beginnings. Youthful contemplation collaborates with elder courage and create a fresh arena of curiosity and expectation. I test the unsure foothold of the future, tipping our toes toward the transcendent as we ascend. Mindful wanderings canonize humanity with the divine. When I can no longer guide and you face the wilderness, press my shoes to your heart to know where you would step. When you delight in the dance, wherever you are, every direction you face points to heaven. Thank you.
Can I share a brief poem?
Sure.
I can be heard, right? Without the mic? Or should I get on the mic?
He'll bring you a mic.
This is a poem by the great Islamic mystic Rumi. Probably the most famous one in the West, anyhow. I don't know about the Middle East. The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them all at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Thank you, Bill.
Hi, everybody. I am obviously not Ben or Dave, so I cannot make this official. But as we always share, this is about family, and I would like to invite you to take part in our ritual and think about our families during this time of year, what this family means to us. The table is set. Please come when you're ready. We can take bread and we may dip it in the cup. We have some prepackaged if you prefer that. And the table is set. Come when you're ready.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, and their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And I feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen. Went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. And I find it kind of funny, find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world.
Thank you so much for joining us in person and online tonight. And thank you again for making financial support a part of your practice at collectivegives.com and making your plan to practice and stay connected at wearecollectivechurch.com. You can update your preferences to customize your engagement. If you're willing to share what you've found and make it easier for others to find us also, give us a review on Facebook or Google if you have the time. For benediction this evening, I have an observation from Anne Lamott regarding the way we engage our fears through art. And we've read scary books and watched scary movies and TV shows together. He's met monsters, ghouls, and demons on the page and on the screen. There's nothing like watching Anaconda with your best friend or lying in bed next to your mother reading Roald Dahl, because that way you get to explore dark stuff safely. You get to laugh with it, to step out of on the vampire's dance floor and take him for a spin, and then step back into your life. When you make friends with fear, it can't rule you.
All right, I'm going to lead us in the closing ritual. Now let's bring our hands together as a symbol of our intention. First to our forehead for clarity of thought, then to our lips for clarity of speech, then to our hearts for clarity of action, so that in all we do, love would be our first thought, our first word, and our first deed. Grace and peace. Thank you. That's the close of our service.